What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you about Rivian. Over the last week, there's been a lot of EVs that have taken some pretty substantial dips, but in Rivian's case, it's been holding up. So I want to go over some of the data points, technicals, and where I see things going from here. Before I get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So currently it is up 2.94%. First thing, it did dip with the broader market, but it did get bought up very fast. And so these are all the transactions that have occurred today on the secondary market, over $100,000. So there has been a fair share, as you can kind of see right here. Majority of them are buys, as you can tell, the few odds and ends sells, but majority of them are buys. So of course, this is kind of why when it did dip, it got bought up very fast. Similarly, a lot of activity on the dark pool, but I think that's been a little bit more of a common occurrence over the last little bit. So these are all the transactions from the dark pool. So a pretty substantial amount, probably around 150 transactions. And as far as the daily volume today, 54.84% of the daily volume has been redirected off of the exchange to that dark pool that I just mentioned. But at the time of doing this video, there hasn't been any press releases at all, the last being on September the 7th, and I've already covered that in a video. As far as SEC filings, there is a new amended 13G for T. Rowe Price and Associates, and it looks like they just, as of right now, have 7.77% of the outstanding shares. So yeah, that's pretty good stuff. Definitely, they have a lot of ETFs that own Rivian, and Rivian's just a solid all-around buy in my opinion. So these are some of the ones right here just that they do have. So T. Rowe, quite a lot of ETFs, and so them increasing their position is a pretty good thing in reality. So of course the 13G is from Q2, and that was just more of an amendment. So nothing really crazy as far as that goes. When it comes down to options today, so $5.52 million in calls being purchased versus $3.95 million in puts. So based on this information, people are clearly assuming that Rivian is just going to continue to trend up until it does eventually hit the moon. So Rivian's one of those solid all-around buys, and I've been saying that. You can kind of tell that based on the earnings as well. If you are optimistic, this is all the calls, shows the strike prices, expiry dates. Based on this information, it is anticipated to go between the roughly 24 to around 25.50 or even 26 by the end of next week. So I think that's fairly realistic given especially the options and as well the data points, other data points I'm going to talk on. So I'll share that with you. If you are negative, and so looking at the puts, it is anticipated to go around the $22 range by the end of this week. So once again, you kind of have different viewpoints. When it comes down to options, regardless though, it does not move the stock price 1 cent. It is just merely a sentiment. So this is why I kind of like to look at it. As far as right now, with it being at $23.80, it is currently right now between the P and the R1. So it's definitely doing a lot better compared to a lot of other growth stocks. So 23.28 is a very strong support. Vice versa, 26.40 is a very strong resistance. And like I've indicated in the past, among a lot of these pivot points, is kind of wide. So there's a big gap. That does mean that there's going to be a lot of volatility in either direction. So you just have to be comfortable with that. But like I mentioned, based on options, as far as the optimistic, people are assuming that it is going to go to kind of the high point of the R1, vice versa. Some people are assuming that it might actually go between this S1 and the pivot. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. As far as looking right here at the momentum indicator, shows number of retail investors have been getting in. Stochastic is kind of high, so it's at 90 right now, which is considered a little bit more overbought, but there is no defined trend right now, so that's something just to kind of consider. As far as what shorts are doing, I'll give you an overview of what shorts are doing. And again, just for transparency, I've said this in the past, I do not see Rivian being a short squeeze play. This is just more of a, I guess, a tool, a benchmark to use. But right now, short score is currently 59. Utilization is 29.02%. And looking right here, shorts are technically returning shares. So 260,000 shares is being returned. And the way I interpret this, whenever they return on a very green day, shows it's justified and that they do see more upside coming. So you kind of have the trifecta. Those are the big three that I like to look at: what shorts are doing as a benchmark, the options, and the technicals. And all three right now are fairly very bullish, in fact. So definitely I think that's a good thing. 13.08% of the free float is being shorted. 86.52 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is 1.11%. So like I mentioned, the fact that there's more than 10 million shares available to be shorted if they wanted, and just a low cost to borrow, but yet shorts aren't really doing that, I see this all as very optimistic. So let me know your thoughts on that. At the time of doing this video, looking under Rivian, there hasn't been any recent analyst ratings. So right now, the last being, I think, on the 24th, and that was by Needham and Company. And also on a side note, like I've brought up in the past, I think on my last video, the latest Morningstar report does show the fair market value for Rivian being $35.63. So let me know your thoughts. And if you are looking for a lot of good compiled information, such as Morningstar reports, analyst ratings, short selling, everything under the sun, take a look at Interactive Brokers, completely free to have all this stuff. So take advantage of that. Link in the description below and also the comments. So give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying, selling, holding Rivian? What's your kind of take on all of this? And do you think that, for instance, the options, or at least bullish options, is true, that it's going to go to around the $26 mark, or do you think it's going to go back down to around the $22.50? So what's your kind of viewpoint on all that? Regardless though, like I've signaled, even everything I talk on is more so just short-term stuff. But if you do believe in bigger picture Rivian, this is when, if you just buy, forget it, like years from now, or decades per se, or whatever you want to call it, like Rivian's going to be a solid investment. And you can tell that based on their earnings as well. They kind of just give off that vibe, the fact that we are going to take over the market. We are going to eventually take on Tesla. So that's my viewpoint. Let me know your thoughts on all that. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And one final thing I just wanted to share with you, another broker that is giving a crazy promo, and that is with Moomoo. Just sign up for an account, throw $100 at it, you get 5 free stocks. Each stock can be valued up to $2,000. So kind of a win-win. Link in the description below and also the comments. So take advantage of Interactive Brokers and Moomoo. With all that said, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on Rivian.